Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. Hilary Hutchison with you today, and I'm joined by my dynamic co-host, Shireen. Welcome, Shireen. How are you?
Hello, Hilary. I am great. Thank you so much. So in today's episode, we are very excited to introduce to you the excellent Habiba Al Mar'ashi. Habiba is the co-founder and chairperson of Emirates Environmental Group, which is a pioneering non-governmental organization established in the UAE back in 1991. She single-handedly established the Arabia CSR Network in 2004 as the MENA region's pioneering and the only multi-stakeholder platform with local and multinational entities.
Wow, amazing accomplishments. We are so honored to have her on our podcast. Habiba, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Hilary. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you, Shireen, for the kind introduction.
Wonderful. So Habiba, I am sure that many of our listeners will already know who you are and the work that you do. But for those who don't, could you please give us a small background about who you are?
Indeed. Thank you very much. So as Shireen mentioned, my name is Habiba Al Mar'ashi. I'm a UAE national. I'm a mother of 4. I officially became a grandmother during COVID-19
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
In the month of April. A wonderful little boy, he's a joy to have. And I started my career early on in my life, and I was always very keen on being involved in the community, supporting whatever I could. So, of course, I started working in the government, and in addition to that, I opened small businesses here and there. I opened a tailoring shop, I opened a flower shop, I opened a beauty parlor, the normal things. So I had this entrepreneurship mind from the beginning.
Fantastic.
In addition to raising children and working in the government. But I would always volunteer, in the family, in the relatives, things to be done, I would be there. The way we were raised by our parents and, conservation of resources, very, very conscious of how we consume water, energy, food. The wastage of food was completely not accepted and was not in our household. So all these issues we grew up with, and I delivered it, and I worked it every day in and out. So once upon a time, I had taken classes in flower arranging, and I met this wonderful lady, who talked about environmental conservation. So we had very interesting discussion. And the more she talked about the environment, and the more I said, yes, this is what we were brought up with. Yes, that's what we do in our family and in our household. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Many families, this is how we grew up. So that was the meaning of, or the understanding of the modern environment. And then, the advice was, if you are so interested and so committed, why don't we start something? It just started organically, how do we create a platform whereby we can volunteer and encourage others as well. So a group of like-minded people, we were a total of 12. We didn't start at 12, many, but as you move along and you really are serious and forming, and in the end, you only have that core group that works with you. So we were a group of 12 wonderful people, male and female, from different nationalities, just like the UAE. It is a hub, of potpourri, I always call, of different people from all over the world. We formed the Emirates Environmental Group with the main purpose of raising awareness on environmental issues, working with government authorities to ensure that environmental issues are at the forefront. And we looked at the challenges that are out there, and we turned these challenges into objectives, and we have worked on them religiously, and we continue to do so until today. So I suppose that is who I am.
Fantastic. You certainly have accomplished a lot and done a lot in your life already.
Yeah, you're very inspiring with being able to manage so much and raising kids and having so many businesses and still managing to, found such an amazing environmental group. And there's not many people that can do that. So, hands down to you. So Habiba, you were talking about challenges that you faced. Did you face any challenges in gaining the necessary support from local and federal agencies?
Indeed, if nobody does anything without facing challenges, especially if it is a new thing. Don't forget this is in the early 1990s and we are a very conservative society. And we were just, of course, women were working and I was working and I was driving my own car, and again, that was not in the early 80s I started driving. So maybe one of the first one in my own family environment that took the challenge of driving. So when you want something and you want it badly, really work for it. And you push boundaries and you scale higher and higher. Yes, there were a lot of challenges. First of all, how do we get the group to be taken seriously? How do we organize ourselves? What kind of activities that we need to do? How do we mobilize the society? How do we reach out to the society? What are the platforms? What are the means, the communication channels that we will need to use? How do we get the government buy-in and support and blessing to our efforts? How do you engage all these different nationalities? Today UAE boasts of 203 nationalities. At that time, it was 185 nationalities that lived in our country. And still, that is a very big diversity. So all these were challenges. We had a lot of teething problems, of course, and you have to deliver and there's so much demand out there. There's a big gap. That needs to be filled up. There's a lot of interest. We engage with the private sector wholeheartedly, and the private sector really until today are our biggest partners. So when you started working with the private sector and you want to get them on board and mobilize them, there's a lot of learning that you have to go through. I'm a business administration, not an environmental person. So that was my passion. But I had to read, and I continue reading the whole time. And the more you got engaged, the more there was to be done. And this is what I always say, that environment is a cross-cutting issue. It's not a specific subject or specialty. It's life. It's everything in life is environment.
Right, it impacts everything.
Yes, it does impact everything, and you impact environment in return. So you have to learn a lot, and you have to find your niche market, and you have to find the areas that we can focus on and be known for. So one of the challenges was the consumption habits in the UAE. The amount, and that results in waste. The amount of waste produced comparing to the number of people was high, quite high. So we took that as one of our objectives to work on. Until today, we are known in the UAE, if you say recycling, Emirates Environmental Group is the name that comes first. We started rolling out curbside recycling from early on, of course, engaging the education institutions. Again, they are the main focus for Emirates Environmental Group. And I always say that they are the backbone of what we do. Building the capacity, raising the young ones, molding them to be environmental citizens of tomorrow. These are all focus areas. So we started developing educational programs, structured educational programs, very systematic, very known which time of the year that we will roll out. Again, another area that we are known for and people appreciate and we are very popular is the action programs. We became very creative in developing platforms that we can engage different sectors of the society. And I think this is one of the successes or secrets of the successes of Emirates Environmental Group is our ability to innovate and structure ourselves, reintroduce ourselves, reinvent ourselves if you want. I remember very vividly, I sat with a delegation from one of the Asian countries and they say usually the NGO's life can go between, maximum 20 to 23 years old,
Wow.
And yes, so that for me is all the time in my mind, how do I challenge that? And how do you stay relevant to your cause, yet you keep on engaging and interesting the different sectors. And I'm very proud to say today we are celebrating, September, we celebrated 30 years anniversary.
Wow.
And amazing.
And longer. and we are going strong. And every time that message, that speech, that meeting comes in front of me, and I say, yeah, we will do it and we will continue. And I think one of my main objectives is really to keep the door of Emirates Environmental Group open, to expand it, to make it as relevant as it was when we first established it, to gain the interests of the younger generation and bring them on board. And I think we are the only organization in this country that has provided and continues to provide a wonderful platform for future generation to excel, to find themselves, to really find a passion for environmental issues, creating the voluntary platforms that everybody understands now and is keen on being involved and participating.
That is fantastic. So you've just mentioned your focus that EEG has on education and also your education programs for young ones. So have you noticed a huge interest from children and teenagers in the education programs?
Indeed. Alhamdulillah, when we started our structured educational program as an annual event in 2001. So this year we are celebrating 20 years of those events. So we have students workshop, and these workshops throughout the years, we have developed the expertise and experience of developing our own module, our own material, and we engage the students and we bring pertinent environmental issues, the latest that is out there. And we engage the students community. Now with COVID-19, we just finished in October our series of students workshop. So one of the practical exercises during that workshop of how do they make their own masks. And every student was so creative in developing one and in creating a beautiful practical one that they could use. And they were very excited about it. We bring terminologies that, and we keep on bringing it, popping during the workshop so that they become very, their ears get acquainted to it. And they start becoming curious about it. They start critical thinking and they start looking for solutions. Through these workshops, we encourage them to work as teams. So this year you could understand the challenge that we had because we had to do it virtually. Usually, how do you engage the students virtually yet to work as teams? So we went into, of course, the breakout rooms and got them to, and it was incredible how they fit in that scenario and how they were so adapted so well and so fast, and they were able to deliver incredible work by the end of the day. And we target different age groups. So you will find some of our programs, theoretical programs, some of them are practical. Tomorrow, for example, tomorrow and after tomorrow, we have the Inter-College Environmental Public Speaking Competition. This is a competition that is pan-Arab. It covers all Arab countries, and the event will be hybrid. So those teams that are coming from universities within the UAE, they will be physically attending the event. Of course, taking the precautions that are required. But for all the teams that are out of the UAE in the different Arab countries, they will be joining us virtually. And jury members will be, of course, sitting with us physically at the venue. So we have managed to, again, adapt all our programs to fit the current scenario. We had the inter-school beginning of November, and it was all virtually, the judges and everything was online through forms, and the scores will come immediately. And it was very successful. So from April until now, we have not canceled any of our program. We have managed to carry them all through the different meals that we have. Even the summer programs that we have, for example, is a practical program called the Neighborhood Recycling Program. And it involves the student community to engage with their neighbors, 20 neighbors. And we give them, of course, the instructions, the guidelines of how to do it. But at the end of these 2 weeks, these students have understood and known. So you are really introducing them to 20 neighbors. So you are bringing that community bond together, and they have to know them, they have to interact with them, they have to give them a presentation. So the students have to develop their own presentations on the material that they have chosen to collect for recycling. They have to get their email addresses, house number or apartment number. They have to give us Excel sheet with all the facts and proof that they have actually engaged 20 neighbors. By the end of it, they have given you the quantity that you have specified in the competition. What do you award them with? So in addition to the soft skills that the student has acquired, you give them certificate of participation, and then you give them a sapling of a native tree, and that is one of our very popular programs, which they get to plant it themselves at the end of the year with a placard in front of it holding their name. So we have been moving with the years. This year it will be on 2012-20. Last year it was 19-12-19. The year before was 18-12-18, and this is how we moved. And that brings us into for our Emirates We Plant. So you can see that we have connected all our waste management programs, the mobilization of the different sectors of the society. And the reward is rewarding them, but actually rewarding the earth by planting indigenous trees. This program for our Emirates We Plant, we started it in 2007. And until today, I'm very excited every time I share with our audiences the numbers. We have managed to plant 2,098,787 native trees in the UAE.
Wow. That is incredible.
That's so impressive.
We'll come back as well. I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. But just want to say the scope and the different kinds of events and programs you have is absolutely incredible, mind-boggling how many different...
I love them. I agree with you. I love them, and I always say the philosophy is not about rolling out something new every day.
No.
It is how we are able to sustain those programs and making
the stability of each one.
Exactly. And consistency of it and engaging more and more people, get the interest from them and build on those numbers. So we have a very strong research base as well in the organization. The data that we have is incredible of how much has been collected, even with the trees that we have planted since 2007. So you have thousands of them have reached the level of maturity after 5 to 7 years. So these trees have become carbon sinks. So we have managed to create an effective platform to reduce the CO2 emissions of the country through this beautiful, simple, yet very effective platform.
Fantastic. And I love how everything works toward one goal. Everything is sort of interconnected, different kinds of campaigns, different kinds of programs, but they, at the end of the day, interconnect to one bigger goal. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
You also mentioned in the intro that, I think we mentioned that you single-handedly established the Arabia CSR Network in 2004. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So in 2002, I had the privilege of going to South Africa to attend the World Summit for Sustainable Development with the UAE delegation. It was a wonderful platform. I saw thousands and thousands of enthusiastic people from all over the world engaging there. And I met people that I read about them. I see them in papers, I see them on television, and they were in reality in front of me. So it was for me really like a child in a candy shop. I saw Jane Goodall, whom we all know, the wonderful lady who is the well-known authority on gorillas and chimpanzees around the world. I met Mary Robinson, President of Ireland and the United Nations Human Rights Commissioner. I met many of these CEOs of big international companies over there, the Secretary General Kofi Annan at that time, and so on, and so many, so it was an incredible platform.
What an experience.
It was, and so many wonderful books. And I used to carry those books in my jute bag every day and bring them back to the hotel. By the time I left South Africa, I had more than 75 kilos of books with me.
Oh, wow.
And I treasured every one of them. But why am I mentioning that? Because every single tent or conference room that I attended to listen to what was going on, the message that was coming out of there was the effective partnership, integrated partnership, the public-private partnership, the role of NGOs. And Emirates Environmental Group was a living example of that. I said, wow, they are discussing it, but we are living it actually. Emirates Environmental Group survived because of the effective partnership with the private sector. And so that gave me a boost of confidence, that we are on the right track, and actually we are doing much better than many NGOs around the world. So I came back energized And I knew that I have to take that relationship with the private sector to another level, systemize it, institutionalize it. And that's when I started working for 2 years. I sought people from all over the world to ask advice and seek support. And in 2004, in the month of April, we were able to announce the formation of the Arabian CSR Network. It functioned initially under the umbrella of Emirates Environmental Group, but by 2009, it had gained the strength, experience, and independence to stand alone as another body. In 2006, I co-founded the Emirates Green Building Council. In 2008, I established the UN Global Compact Network for the GCC states. So you can see the privileges and the opportunities that come in front of you. And it really just needs stamina, it needs courage, and it needs perseverance. And I think a streak of stubbornness. You need to be stubborn to be able to do these things.
And stamina, my goodness, stamina to do so many different things.
Yeah, so all these beautiful bodies, each one of them fit very well. It was like pieces of puzzles coming together to fit the scenario of sustainable development. With Arabia CSR Network, of course, our focus was, what is corporate social responsibility? What do we understand from it? Is it really being implemented in our country? What do the private sector understand? Where is it positioned? If it is there in the organization, is it a PR exercise? Is it a marketing exercise? Is it genuinely in the strategy, or where? So we developed a survey, and I distributed it to quite a few entities within UAE and the GCC that we were dealing with. And I was amazed at what came out of this survey. So environment, health, and safety issues were strong. Entities understood their role and they were nicely implementing it. Labor rights were issues that are well on the table, and it was dealt with, whether we were talking about national organization or multinational organizations. It was other issues that needed more attention. The social engagement, the engagement of the community, stakeholder, the concept of stakeholder engagement was very, very new. Entities were used to work solo, everyone does everything themselves. And communication between stakeholders was not there. So we found gaps and genuine gaps. And again, one of the outcomes of it was everybody was keen to know more. So there was that keenness and willingness to learn is what drove us to start the capacity building exercises. So for 3 years, we continued conducting panel discussion, focus groups, you name it, we did it. Some of them were general issues, some of them were very specific issues. And after 3 years, what came out of the flow was, yes, we understand it very well now. Where do we start from? How do we start? I want to be a socially responsible entity. How do I start in my organization? So that's then we started developing accredited programs, corporate social responsibility for different levels. And until today, these are very strong programs that we continue doing it. In 2008, I rolled out the Arabia CSR Awards, because while doing our survey and our research, we found that there were some outstanding organizations that were doing excellently well. And they deserve to have that platform of recognition, because they can inspire others as well. And there's a lot of learning from this organization that should be shared with the rest.
Of course.
So that was the main reason really to roll out the Arabia CSR Awards. And I have never regretted. You remember 2008 was the year of economic crisis and financial crisis.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody told me I was crazy. Really companies cannot find, their survival is hand to mouth, and you are talking about awards. And I said, this is the time for the awards. But we worked on the awards criteria for 2 full years, from 2006 until 2008. We created an advisory board, a technical committee, jury, people from all around the world, really. And I'm so grateful that Allah has put the wonderful people in my path, from my interaction, from the networking, from my travels, from different engagement. I came to know many, many beautiful people. And the amazing thing is people like to work with each other. There's a lot of goodwill out there. So we worked on developing the criteria for the awards. And I always said from the beginning that this award would be different. It would not be just a crystal that entities will take it and put it on the shelf. It has to be the beginning of the journey, actually.
Deeper meaning.
Yes. And so we started we took the UN Global Compact principles, 10 principles. We took the GRI, Global Reporting Initiative template. We took the European Excellence Model, Quality Model, EFQM, and we worked with this and we developed the set of criteria that is required for the applicants to fill. And it's a very thorough process. It's a very lengthy process. And I always say it's not an easy award. It's a difficult award. Not one person can fill it. And that was the whole purpose, that you will have the whole team working on it. And this team should be from different departments. The aim of it is for the organization to understand what is happening in every corner of its operations, for people to understand the holistic nature of the organization. And actually, it has worked wonders over the course of 13 years. We finished the 13th cycle on the 16th of October, in spite of COVID and the restrictions and the lockdown and the companies closing and people working remotely. We still had 56 applications coming to us from 9 Arab countries. We usually receive from 13 Arab countries, 14 Arab countries, but because of COVID, we received from 9 Arab countries.
Still impressive.
But, yes. I did not have any reason to complain, and I was very grateful and thankful that they applied. The unique thing about this award is many entities who have started applying since 2008 are still applying every year. We have seen organizations moving from a small size entity to a medium size entity to a large size entity. So we have seen the growth and expansion of these entities. And that is very important for us. Yet every year, between 35 to 45% of applicants are new applicants. I started with only 3 categories: small size enterprises, middle size enterprises, and large size enterprises. And it was targeted to the private sector. I was happily surprised by the second year and third year to see so many government entities applying from the UAE. That pushed us. So that's what I was saying. The market demands,
right,
and guide the direction. So we had to work and develop a special criteria for government entities. And then we started going into sector specific. We rolled out energy sector, hospitality sector, healthcare sector, different sectors. Today we have 13 sectors. The last sector we rolled out in 2020 is the automotive industry.
Fantastic.
So Habiba, you were talking about all the many campaigns that you have going on, but a lot of them are happening in December as well. So December is actually very busy for you guys. I know you have Green December happening. Let's talk a little bit about that. And do you want to tell us how you came up with Green December and what entails? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So our weather is beautiful in the month of December.
Yes, amazing.
All the greens, the greens are full and the flowers are in full bloom. So the colors are very bright, very vibrant, and very happy. So we wanted the student community during this period. They have a lot of holidays, the Christmas holiday and the New Year holiday and all that. And they have the holidays for the New Year. How do you engage them effectively? And we wanted to make it a fun exercise. So this is again another program for the student community to engage in recycling and collecting recyclable material. They have a special target. They have only 20 days to deliver. Once they deliver it, again, they are involved with us in being recognized with the certificate, appreciation, writing about them in our social media, writing about them in our newsletter, as well as engaging them with our tree planting activities. So that is for the student community. Then we have the Cleanup UAE. Cleanup UAE is a cross-cutting program. This is a program that we started in 2002 in December. It was a Thursday and it was a holiday on 12/12 to 2002. And we were doing cleanup campaigns all over the country in different Emirates, and they were all very successful. So in a year, we were doing 3-4 campaigns. And wherever we went to one emirate, the other will say, why are you not doing it with us as well? Yeah, so by really 10 years, we had nicely gained good experience in organizing, this kind of mass big campaigns.
Right.
So we put the Clean Up UAE on 12/12/2002. And for the first year, we had 4 emirates joining us. When I say 4 emirates, it means, of course, we go and build partnership with a relevant government body that is in charge of the cleaning of that emirate. And there's a lot of logistics that goes on behind the scenes to ensure that we bring this kind of program to the forefront. By 2005, we had managed to cover all the 7 emirates. And we intended initially to say that we will only do it for 1 decade. We have a certain set of objectives that we would want to achieve. And this year is the 19th year that we are doing the Cleanup UAE, and it is still going strong. And every time I say, okay, should we stop it? All the voices from the board, from everybody says, no, this is a flagship that you should continue. The project has achieved its objectives manifold. Today, it's become a culture. Every single entity, government or private, that wants to provide a voluntary platform, wants to engage their staff into something meaningful, wants to do something for the environment, cleanup is the first thing that pops up. So we get many corporations, they love this event. And we had extended it, of course, not only 1 day, it takes place over a course of 2 weeks almost. And every day or every other day, we are in one of the Emirates.
Amazing.
This year, because of the COVID, we are only going to do it in Dubai. So it will be just like when we started 2002 in Dubai. In 2020, we will be in Dubai only, but we will have quite a few locations. And we have a target of 5,000 participants. But mashallah, the numbers are coming up very fast, so I'm sure we will exceed those numbers. But we have had over the years, I remember 2 years ago, we had 125,000 people participating.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes, 125,000 in the 7 Emirates, but the number of locations that we had was more than 100 locations. So if we have a school that wants to participate and they have 150 students, we tell them, don't come to us. We will help you and we will open a site for you so that your team can be involved. When we have remote areas, instead of calling people to come to a certain place, we help them to open sites. And that's how we increase the number of sites as well. And we make it convenient for entities and people to participate without having the need to travel to the locations that we are positioned in.
That's excellent thinking, very practical.
Yes. Yeah. And you will be amazed, we have covered mountainous areas, hiking places that people go, wadis, deserts, industrial areas, residential areas, open areas, many. And, it shocks me, of course, to see the irresponsible behavior of some members of the society and the type of things that they throw away in the deserts particularly. But as we moved over the years, we have seen the increase in the number of people, but decrease in the amount of waste that we are collecting. And our message keeps on being, drilled through the different sectors. And I think it is resonating now, and entities are understanding that. We work very closely with the relevant government bodies, with the municipalities. We work with the police, different police departments in different emirates to ensure the safety. We work with civil defense. We work with hospitals. So we provide ambulances, first aid, everything is there. Of course, snacks, water, juice with different companies. So it's a huge operations, portable toilets, cotton gloves. We don't use plastic. We've always, from 2002 until now, we use beautiful, high-quality cotton gloves that when people finish using it, we collect it, send it for laundry, and we keep it for other programs. Our bags are biodegradable plastic bags, and we provide every single participant with a T-shirt and cap. So it's a wonderful program with a lot of work that is required behind the scene. But when you see the result, it makes it all worth it. And
Fantastic.
a lot of networking, I would like to add, a lot of networking. Companies come to know each other, schools get to know each other, so it's really a community, and that's what I'd love to see about it.
Yes, and so encouraging to see when you can see the advances that's made, when you can see changes and going in the right direction. That's so rewarding for you.
And encouraging that you know you're on the right path, like what you're doing is making a difference because you're seeing results.
Yes, I always say, when you take people out there and they see the place not clean, and once they have collected and they see the mountains really of and heaps of waste that has been collected, everybody is so happy that they have achieved that task. And then once we do that, we actually start segregating. So we take from the general waste, the paper, the plastic, the aluminium, the glass, and these are all segregated nicely by the volunteers, by the people participating. And we ensure that we take it to the local factories for recycling.
So Habiba, you talk a lot about the participants and all the volunteers. So how would someone be able to join in? Is there a certain process of signing up, or anyone can come and go?
If you go on our website, you will find, for example, now that we have the Cleanup UAE, there will be a link that you click, and there's a Google form that you fill it up, and then the office will reach out to you and you register and you participate. We have membership. We are a membership-based organization. So if you want to be actively involved with us throughout the year, we encourage you to become a member. So again, there's a membership form, you fill it up and you deal with admin and you become a member. So when we have events, we reach out to our members to come on board as volunteers as well as participants. For example, the can collection drive that we just conducted on the 7th of November. Who mans all the sites that we are there? It's not the handful of staff that I have in the office, no. It's the volunteers, it's the members, it's the companies that are corporate members with us. They nicely bring, each company will bring 10 people, 20 people, whatever is required, and they undertake the tasks that are needed to be done. We have volunteers meetings before any event. For 2 months before that event, we will have regular weekly volunteers meeting to discuss all the details of every aspect of that campaign or that program, so that everybody is very well acquainted and everybody understands their role and the tasks that they are supposed to do and their responsibilities. That is how you see the program run efficiently and professionally and smoothly and seamlessly.
Yes, sounds very organized indeed. So let's just get back to For Our Emirates We Plant campaign that you mentioned earlier, which I believe is happening on the 20th of December. How many trees have you already planted, did you say?
So we planted we have planted since 2007, 2,098,787 trees.
Incredible.
And, yes. And this year, for our Emirates We Plant, our target is to plant 2,000 trees. How do we collect these trees? These are the whole year-round programs that different entities have participated, the schools have participated, students have participated, and every one of them has acquired a number of trees. So these number collectively becomes a certain number. So I know for a fact until now we have 1,375 trees, but the target is 2,000. So then we invite entities to adopt trees. So companies, if they have not participated in any of our waste management program, can adopt a tree at a cost, So you can adopt 10 trees, 20 trees, 100 trees, according to what your budget is. And that is where we make it into the number that we have allocated. Where will we plant? Last year we planted in more than one location, and inshallah this year will be the same thing. One of the areas that we will plant will be in the protected area, Al-Qudra Lakes?
Yes.
Okay, so in that whole protected area is called Sayh Al-Salam. In Sayh Al-Salam, we will be planting a good number of trees. And the other area that we will be planting will be in a protected area in south of Ras Al Khaimah. This is an area that is being developed to be a bees protected area.
Oh.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place, and we have already planted. We've been planting in that place for the last 3 years. Type of tree that we plant there is only one type. It's called the sidra tree. It's a beautiful fruiting tree, one of our native species. Very sweet little orange fruits, and that is one of the favorite flowers that the bees like. And of course, we are talking about local bees. Local bees are a national treasure to the country, and there are a lot of efforts to preserve them. So in this protected area, which is really owned by His Highness Sheikh Salim bin Sultan bin Sagar Al Qasimi, the president of Ras Al Khaimah Civil Aviation, is a living, beautiful, thriving place. With millions of bees. Of course, there are hives, and the place is full of life. Different type of insects you find. Wildlife is there, wild rabbits, gazelles, and it's just a wonderful place.
Sounds
and
lovely.
Very, very lovely, Hilary. If you go there, you do not believe that you are in the UAE. You do not believe that you have this kind of wonderful places in the country. That's why I always say, when you engage in community in this kind of environmental work, you are exposed to places, landscapes, natural environment that you never knew existed. And it is important for the community to understand what we have, to learn to appreciate it, and then understand how to protect it.
Yes,
Of
absolutely.
course.
I also love that how you said you've got these different avenues, different prongs where people can support. If they can't support in the one way, then they can have the tree that they support. So you provide these different ways for organizations and people to support the environment. It's fantastic.
I've never heard of an organization that is this well thought out. Like, you guys think of everything. It's actually really, really impressive. You try to make it as easy as possible for anyone who wants to participate, where it's almost like, well, why would you not participate when we're literally giving you all the possible ways, the easiest, everything.
We try our best.
Amazing. Now, Habiba, I also want to know, based on your personal experiences, what challenges does the UAE face as a whole in being more sustainable and environmentally friendly?
Thank you. That's a very good question, really. Like any country that is fast developing, it has got its own unique set of challenges. So for us, of course, we are in a very arid part of the world, and the temperatures are very high. So we were not blessed with some of the natural resources, for example, water. So there's a scarcity of water. And this is an important issue. As you know, you cannot survive without water. And it is an integral part of the economic development and the well-being of the society. Yet the water is being provided to every member of the society very efficiently and beautifully, very professionally, that you have it so easy. You don't even think what are the difficulties that has gone behind the scenes to ensure that you get this high quality water at the touch of our taps. And that has led to members of society overusing it, and sometimes to the level of abusing. When you have things so easy, you do not appreciate how it came to you. Mm-hmm. So we have overconsumption of water. On one side, we do not have enough water resources. On the other side, we have overconsumption of that resource. So this is one of our biggest challenges, of course. The other challenge that I would say is, the consumption habits of everything. It's a consumer society. The production and consumption habits needs to be revisited. We really need to look at, and that's where we work very closely with the future generation to build their understanding and appreciation of really what do they need, not what they want. The needs are more important than the wants. And I think COVID-19 has opened our eyes to that fact very vividly. So what has resulted in that? In the overconsumption, the result is we have a lot of waste on our hands. For the size of the society, the amount of waste is produced is amongst the highest. And this is an area that really needs to be worked very hard to ensure that we reduce the amount of waste. And we have clear government strategy to say that by 2025, 75% of the waste should be diverted from the landfills. And it's not really waste, these are all raw materials that should nicely be channeled towards the recycling factory. So we work with different sectors, and we work with education institutions, with the private sector, with the government institutions, to look very critically what comes into the organization, what are the consumption habits, how do you reduce the consumption of the resources required, and how do you put a proper waste management program in place to ensure that materials that are finished being used can be sent to the recycling factory. We have worked effectively and managed to change perceptions in many organizations not to use plastic bottles anymore. Even in our events, we never use plastic bottles. So we have, glass containers, jugs in our gala events and everything. And this has become a culture today. Companies pride themselves that they are not using plastic bottles, especially single-use plastics is an area that we focus a lot on.
Yes.
These are some of the challenges that we face. And then, this is a transient society. So people may be here for short term. And while being here for short term, their priorities are different. So environment may not be an issue that is on top of their agenda. I'm not saying that they are not committed, but they may be committed in their own countries. But thinking or not misthinking that, I'm here only for a short period of time. So as an individual or one family, my impact will not be that big, is negligible. I can afford not to do and not to be environmentally friendly and practice environment requirements. But that is a misconception, actually. Wherever you are, if you are there for 1 week or 1 month or 10 years, as long as you are there and you're having a human activities, you are human, you are bound to produce waste, and that waste needs to be dealt with. You will be consuming water, and that water needs to be dealt with. Energy consumption is high. And I think, of course, alhamdulillah, now it's been quite a few years that the government has put the quota system, and water and electricity is not free anymore. So there are charges, and that has helped reduce the water consumption and the energy consumption. Government looking at renewable sources of energy and investing heavily in that is one of the areas that, and one of the ways that the UAE is tackling its high energy consumption. And I personally am very proud of the achievement that has been achieved on the national level with regards to energy consumption and diversifying sources of energy. And I think in families, with our students, with our corporations, beautiful measurement processes have been put in place for entities to monitor that and to ensure the reduction. And this is where the Arabian CSR Awards again comes into effect, because in the different stations that entities have to stop, it's really like a gap analysis exercise for them, so they understand the impact of all their operations in every aspect of it, and they work with it accordingly, and they put the targets, the time frame that fits them to deal with those challenges and impacts that they have on the ground.
Yes.
So collectively, we work as one to ensure that we are supporting the national strategy, and we are aligning what is happening on the national level with the global goals that are set by the United Nations Environment Program or by UN Global Compact and other bodies.
Excellent. What excellent insights. Thank you for that. There are clearly challenges and issues that need to be addressed, and it's so important to have organizations like yours that is doing so much to deal with these issues and to reduce the amount and the impact on the environment. Thank you for that. So Habiba, what does 2020 look like for you and EEG? Do you have any new campaigns you are working about or anything you're excited about?
2020 was a milestone for us. So we started with it very optimistically because this is the 30th anniversary of the Emirates Environmental Group. And we ensured that all our programs are making deeper inroads. We are making new routes and we are engaging bigger and bigger sectors of the society. And COVID-19 comes in unannounced and unprepared, but really the ability with NGOs is the ability to adopt and adapt, and you have that maneuvering space. So we work with whatever resources that we have at our hand. And the most important part was that we will not cancel any of our programs, and we will work with our different stakeholders and at whatever resources that is at our disposal. And of course, you cannot tango alone. You need to have your players with you. And our members have been very forthcoming and very cooperative. The schools, the teachers, the students, the families supporting their participation, the participation of their children in our different programs. So it proved, really, in the end of the day, it proved that we do work as one, regardless of what our background is, which part of the world we are coming from. That sense of pride, the love for the UAE, it's very obvious. It's there, and it manifests itself in many ways, and we see it in our programs every single day. So Alhamdulillah, I think it's a very strong survival year for us, and we look forward to put this behind us, inshallah, and 2021 to start with a new white canvas with a lot of new programs and more effective ways of engaging with the different sectors, particularly in capacity building.
Okay, in fact, that was going to be my question. I actually misasked the question. I was going to say, what does 2021 look like for you and for EG? Do you have any new campaigns that you are working on for 2021?
Yeah, 2021, inshallah, will be, as I said, the year of, again, ensuring that our roots are strong. And we are reaching out to all our partners across the UAE. We signed this year, during the COVID, we signed with the University of Sharjah, MOU to work with them closely. And this will be an area that I would like to keep. We have quite a few universities and colleges on board, but I would like to take that relationship into formal relationships, so you have a strong established way of work. We receive interns throughout the year, university students who are either in their last year or finishing, they want to gain experience. And I believe this is one of the best platforms in this country that provides that hands-on experience. So we will continue to do that because I have seen the impact of this. These students, while they come and work with us during the 8 weeks or 2 months or more, when they leave us, they are different people completely, because we do not go superficially. We really engage them hands-on in whatever project that is going on. So there are real tasks, there's accountability, there is assignments, and they have to deliver. And when you empower them, and you give them that responsibility, when they come out, although it's only 2 months, they are out of our place much more matured. I have seen young, fresh graduates come to us, and within 6 months, you have built their ambitions so much that they want to go and pursue their masters. Many of our fresh graduates come to us, and then after 6 months or 1 year, they go to take environmental issues, sustainability issues, as part of their master program.
So it has a real impact on them.
It does have, encouraging them to go into scientific studies, to take sustainability as a career path. And I think this country needs a lot of those fresh graduates. We have had, I think, enough in marketing and in business administration and in technology and IT. I think now we need to refocus on STEM subjects.
Yeah, because this is our future now with climate change and all the pollution that we're producing. Yeah, it's very important. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and insights with us, Habiba. I really enjoyed that. We have now actually come to the segment of our show where we will each ask you a few rapid fire questions. It's just like a little fun game we like to play. So don't worry, the questions are very easy. Just some simple things. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Neither.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
If I don't get a tea or coffee in a day, it's no problem for me.
I see.
So what is your favorite beverage?
Water.
Water. Very good. Very healthy. Your favorite book?
I read reports. I read a lot of environmental reports, so it's not a book that I will read, but my Quran is I love reading verses from the Quran. I think it's very relaxing. Wherever I have, every morning, I have to have my small verse read, and I read environmental reports, I read documentaries, research papers, white papers. These are very important for me to keep myself updated with what is going on around the world.
Amazing. Now, I want to know, what is your favorite Emirati dish?
Rice.
Okay. Your favorite travel destination?
All right. So I have traveled a lot, Emirates Environmental Group, and the work has taken me to different parts of the world. I think every country has got its unique and its own beauty. And it depends on what you have, what kind of meetings. I'm not a very good traveler. I come from the airport, I go to the hotel, I attend the next day the conference, stay for a few days, from the hotel to the airport and back home. But for holidays, I love to go to Switzerland, Malaysia. These are my two favorite places.
Lovely. And do you prefer to watch a sunrise or a sunset?
Sunset.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for playing along. Now, before we wrap up, we would like to do our Green Pill moment. So for this segment called our Green Pill moment, we'd like to ask you, what was your Green Pill moment, the action or event that was the turning point for you or for your career?
Right. It will not be one sentence, really. When I started the Emirates Environmental Group with my colleagues, I believed in the unknown soldier. So I thought that for me to have the blessings and to do, nobody should know that I'm a volunteer or I'm in this. So I used to keep in the background, I was invited by the higher colleges of technology to speak to the girls, and I went to address them. That was in the beginning of Emirates Environmental Group in the early 1990s. So I found that apparently whatever I was saying, the girls were hanging to every word that I said, and I had a big impact. And I was told by the faculty and the director of the college that the girls, whatever I even, challenged them, and they took me up on the challenge and they delivered. So that was a wake-up moment for me that, wow, I do have an impact on my people, and this is a responsibility, is a privilege, but it is a huge responsibility. So I really have to ensure that I am setting a good example. And if they are going to follow me, then I have to be a proper role model, and I have to ensure that I do it correctly and I lead from the front. So that was one of the moments that really woke me up. And from then I started, coming out and talking to people and engaging and meeting companies and addressing business groups, and I found actually the more that I was out there speaking, the more I was having an impact and buy-in and support and participation.
Wow, what a lovely Green Pill moment that was. And you have indeed, in the years since then, had incredible impact on people's lives and, of course, on the environment. So thank you very much for everything that you've done and continue to do. It's absolutely inspiring. And we're so grateful for you to have shared your story with us today. I'm sure our audience will thoroughly enjoy this conversation as much as we have.
Thank you very much, really, ladies. I had a wonderful time, and thank you for taking me out of my office to sit with you and have this beautiful conversation. Thank you.
It was lovely. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.